أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم ينفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ينفعنا وزدنا علما يا كريم يا رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. That's pretty good at Walaikum Salam at 5:50 in the afternoon after you guys been here the whole day, so I'm pretty surprised. I'm glad you guys have some energy. And may Allah, like our brother Tariq said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for being here, not necessarily because it's raining, because obviously you will be inside if it's raining, you won't be outside, so that's nothing special. But that you're here for, since the program's been so, it's a very long program, but alhamdulillah, I think you guys have seen some beneficial parts of it and you guys are learning, so I think that's great. Like brother Tariq mentioned, my name is Shahid Ali. I'm currently the Director of Religious Affairs for ICNA, the Islamic Circle of North America. They're basically the organization that's putting on this program today. We have a dawah project called WhyIslam, and that's what we're here today, we're doing. So, alhamdulillah, and we'd like to thank Tariq for putting on this program and all the people that helped him do it. Today I'm talking about a very interesting topic, and that's integration in the Southern California or the SoCal Muslim community. This session is kind of like your venting session, where I'm just going to control people venting. So you guys can say, this masjid does this and that masjid does this. And I'm going to say, yeah, that's true. So I'm just going to control venting today. That's pretty much what I'm doing right now in this session. But we actually want to make it productive. And even as born Muslims, we have a lot of issues with the Muslim community in general, with the masajid and so forth. So it's not just you. But we want to try to come with some solutions, not just talk and venting, even though that's part of it. But we'll go a little bit more, inshallah ta'ala. And one thing is very, very important as you become a new Muslim, and whether you're a new Muslim for a year, or 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be, is that it's very significant, highly important that you are integrated in the Muslim community. I know there's a lot of trials, and we're going to go over that today. Because I don't know if you guys caught on it, but Islam kind of pushes you to congregate a lot. If you look at this Islam and our practices, it's always like pushing you to be together. Like you could pray at home, but if you come to the masjid, you get 27 more times reward. So come together, if you will. Hajj. Hajj could be in any time of the year. But what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? Certain time in the year, everyone has to do it together. No, I don't care if you like February, you want December. Everyone has to come together and do it. Fasting, for example, all in 1 month, etc., etc., etc. So have this essence of jama'ah, yani congregation, constantly putting yourself together, forcing you to interact with each other and network with each other. That's Islam. Islam is not about, I became Muslim, I'm going to kick it out of my house, in my bedroom, I got my Quran, I got my Sahih Bukhari, and I'm just going to sit here. I don't care about the Muslims here and here like that. They get too much problems. I'm just going to be myself. That doesn't really work. And you need that time, though, by yourself, but obviously you have to be together in the jama'ah. And so, inshallah, we're going to talk about that. So today, we're going to go over a couple things. Number one is the Muslim community and its demographics, because that's very important in understanding the demographics of the Muslim community here in Southern California. Because if you understand who they are and where they come from, you are more likely to give them a little bit more excuses, if you will, and understand their issues. Number two is going over the importance of building connections, and we'll talk about that. Well, number three is common obstacles, and that's kind of where the venting session will start, inshallah ta'ala. And we'll kind of control it, and trying to hear what you guys have experienced and how we can solve that. And number four, and understanding your shahada, which is something very, very deep, actually. When you took shahada, it's something just more of, something on the tongue, if you will. And we're going to be going over that. And then after that, we're going to go into volunteering, how do you practically get involved with the Muslim community? And I'll be going over a lot of organizations that we have here in Southern California and how you can participate with them. I don't represent all these organizations, but at least I'll tell you some references and you'll note down how you can participate with them. So let's go over really quick, the Muslim community and its demographics. One thing you note, if you've ever been to a masjid around Southern California, you will find that most of the Muslims in our masjids are mostly immigrants. People from either the Indo-Pak area, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, or they're Arab. They're from Saudi, they're from Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, etc. That's pretty much it, if you will. With some small exceptions with masajid in the inner city, we have mostly a more dominant African-American Muslim communities, if you will. And that they have some of those here. And Imam Jihad probably talked about that a little bit. Maybe he alluded to it. Maybe he didn't. So that's what you have to understand. So one thing is to understand where you have so much individuals from either the Indo-Pak area and the Arab, region of the world now that are most of the people in your masjid, you have to understand some things about them, right? And on some issues and some of their characteristics and their traditions, if you will. One thing always to understand is that people love talking in their mother tongue. They just love doing that. You have someone, if there's two Latinos together, and they know both know Spanish, they're going to get down in Spanish most likely, right? And I might walk by and be like, what are they talking about, man? I don't know, right? But it's just natural for them, if you will, right? When I talk to youth, I talk in a little different, if you will. I might use the word cool, and and use some maybe little slang, because that's the way they talk. So the same thing is with the demographics of what we have in these masajid, that if you see some people from the Indo-Pak, know what they're probably going to do? They're going to start speaking Urdu amongst each other. And you're sitting there scratching your head. Believe me, this has been my life for about, since I've been born. Because everyone thinks I'm Pakistani or Indian. I kind of look like them. I'm not. My parents are from Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know if you guys know Trinidad and Tobago. Good luck if you find it on a map. But anyhow, we speak English. Our ancestors are from India. So I have so many times people come up to me and they speak Urdu, and I'm sitting there, and then after a minute, I got to cut off the guy. I'm like, so I didn't understand anything you said. So I don't want to be rude, right? And so that it happens, right? Because that's just natural for them. Same thing with the Arabs. So start speaking Arabic. And know it comes off super duper rude when you're standing there, sitting at the iftar table in Ramadan, trying to have some fun, trying to network with people, and then you're like, what, don't they know that I don't speak that language? I don't understand what they're saying. Like, hello, what's going on? I know you might say, this is so disrespectful. I don't want to come to this masjid again. Like, I feel so alienated, right? And that happens. So that's just one thing that's to understand. I'm not giving an excuse to anyone. Even though it sounds like it, I'm not giving an excuse. It's like we understand what's going on, right? What's the issues behind there. Another thing also is that they're not really used to a lot of diversity. I lived in Egypt for about 7 years. All the people in Egypt are from where? Egypt, right? All the people in Pakistan. I visited Pakistan. I didn't see any Latinos walking around the street. I just didn't see them, right? I didn't see no Chinese people. I don't know where they were. They're all Pakistani, and they're just cool, and they understood their customs very well. And you understand, when you're different and you come into their circles in the masjid, sometimes they don't know how to interact with you, because they're kind of just normal to their people, if you will. And I've done that, even though I'm a born Muslim. I walked in masjid, I'll say Assalamu alaikum, a couple people might say Islam to me, but that's about it. No one else will talk to me, for the whole time I pray and I leave. Even though I'm a born Muslim. Like, I've been down, I had membership for a long time here, come on. Right? But it's just that they're just used to their own people, and they get away, and they're whatever. And sometimes if it's an older crowd, uncles and aunties, whatever it might be, they're like even more like, in their own circle. It's like hard for them to even like say salams to you sometimes, And they say, they see someone from their country, like, Salaam alaikum. They see, alaikum salam, brother, how you doing? It's like, I didn't get the big hug. What was that about? What is the big hug? I didn't get it. So this stuff happens. So just to understand these things that happen, I bet you here everyone has stories they'll love to tell of what instance they had when they came to a masjid and how people treated them. But just to let you know, like I said, it's not an excuse, but sometimes you have to kind of understand their mindset. And even though I lived in Egypt so much, I don't ever consider myself Egyptian, but even living there, and I know their customs, it was even hard for them to even accept us, even though that we're there, right? Because they're just used to their own terms, their own culture. Another thing is understanding the masajid. Okay, all the Islamic institutes and schools and centers that we have here in Southern California. It's really important to understand that these masjids, even though how great and big they are, we're not talking about IOK. IOK gets an exception today, or they'll kick us out. So we have to say, everybody except IOK in Southern California, you have to understand most of them don't have full-time employees. So most of their people that's there running it, the president and their board are who? Volunteers. Who are businessmen, they're doctors, they're engineers, and then they spend 15 minutes, an hour, or whatever it might be, throughout the week trying to plan for the masjid and organize. I know what you're saying, that doesn't work. That's why we have problems in our masajid. I agree with you, right? But understand that's why a lot of our masajid have these problems. They don't have programs for new Muslims. They don't have programs for born Muslims in general, right? And this is some of a problem that's out there. And a lot of times, honestly, they're maybe the president or they're the secretary because maybe they might be the donor, the big donor of the masjid. They were there when it was first built, so they have the founders, if you will. It's not because they were in charge of a masjid back home in their country, so they're coming with their experience. It's not because of that. A lot of times they have no experience running a masjid, how to cater to the youth, how to cater to sisters or brothers, and that's the reason why we have certain problems that we have. Like I said, it's not an excuse, but we're just trying to understand what's going on there. So everyone got that. That's kind of like a premise that we have to go before we get into to more other things. So that's what has to be said. Next thing is the importance of building a connection. You know, like how I said, you can't just be a Muslim and just sit at home. It's just like the religion doesn't really promote that. Like I said, you need that at some times, but it's really important for you to involve yourself in the community. And I know sometimes that being a new Muslim, you were with maybe a certain group of individuals beforehand that weren't Muslim. And sometimes they weren't doing the most Islamic activities, if you will, right? And now you became Muslim and you're like, hold on, I'm trying to do a 180, and now I still have those set of friends, or I still have that family I live inside my house that still wants to bring alcohol inside there, or play this type of music, or do this and do that. And it's like you have kind of like a double reality going on. At the masjid, you're like, you know, wear the hat and nice, you're everything. And then at the home, it's like, whoa, I hope nobody sees what's going on here. It's a whole nother reality. It's hard. So when you build this connection with other Muslims, it's super duper vital. You know, when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they came into Medina, when they made the migration from Mecca to Medina, what he did to the Muslims that came from Mecca, they're new to Medina. They're like, what is this land, right? What's going on? We don't know anything around here. So he made kind of a suhbah, some kind of a partnership with the Muslims in Medina. And he paired up people. That you, from Mecca, you're pairing up with this guy from Medina. And now you guys are both Muslims. You guys are going to pair it up together. And you guys are going to work together. And he's going to tell you what's going on in Medina. He's going to show you the ropes, if you will. And that's very, very important. And one thing you even see when new Muslims in Mecca, when they became Muslim, they didn't say, okay, they took their Shahada and they went back out in Mecca and they dealt with the people. But what did the Prophet ﷺ do? He had this place called Dar al-Arqam. I don't know if you guys read the biography of the Prophet ﷺ. He had this house where they will all congregate. Well, it wasn't a masjid because they couldn't build a masjid in Mecca. The Quraysh, or that tribe, will go crazy. So they will all come to this house and they would gather to learn and to be together, to have some type of connection, if you will. And that's what, especially as being new Muslim, you have to really build this connection. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says in a very, very beautiful hadith here, he says, "Ar-rajulu ala dini khalilihi, fayanzur ahadakum man yukhalil." The Prophet ﷺ said that a person, a man or a woman, is on the religion, is on the way of life, is on the practice of his close friend. So watch who you take as your close friends. And that's a significant and very, very true. I think all of us could bear witness to that statement, right? If you're with the brothers, and even as Muslims, I have Muslims, brothers I kick it with, and they're talking about getting ready for Super Bowl, and they're talking about this movie and that movie. And I have another group of brothers that just talk about this hadith and this verse of the Quran, and studying this book. It's like two different realities, And I don't have to even have Facebook. I hear all the stuff from these brothers all the time. I know all the songs that are going on, all the movies going on. Well, these brothers, I hear another thing, if you will. You see how I'm benefiting from, I don't know if you want to call that benefiting, but anyhow, from the different groups. So you really have to find that niche of these people that you could be with. And I know a lot of what you're going to say and you're thinking in your mind, that sounds all great, but there's a lot of hurdles to that, right? People don't accept us. They're not that as friendly as you think. We're going to get into that, inshallah ta'ala. So this hadith is amazing, that talks about how we need to have that close friend, at least one Muslim that you have that you could call on at any time. How are you doing? I'm struggling with this, etc. You want to go to the program tonight? Let's come together, let's carpool, let's go. Someone you could have. And even me as being Muslim, I struggle even finding people like this, even with my own family, right? I tell them, let's go to this program, everyone's like, what? What's going on, right? And so even my own family, sometimes I have that struggle. But you really have to find this buddy, if you will, right, that you could be with, or even more, that you could have this relationship, because the Prophet ﷺ made this statement, and obviously it's very, very significant. Another hadith that is, I'm not seeing from over there, but I think it's Abu Musa, is that what it says on the top? Where the Prophet ﷺ talks about how, same significance that's being made here, is that a person, an example of a pious companion, is that of a person carrying musk, yani carrying cologne, right? Etor, right? Has some type of cologne or perfume with them. And another one of a person that the blower of a pair of bellows. It sounds like weird type English, but basically it's like a goldsmith, if you will, or blacksmith, that's making iron on coals on fire, right? Because this Prophet ﷺ is talking to the Quraysh. This is what they had in their reality. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying that the one who carries cologne, carries good smelling yani perfume with them, they're the seller of this, if you will either give you some perfume, or that you're going to end up buying something with them because you're always running elbows with this guy. You're probably going to buy something from them sooner or later. Or if you don't ever buy that for that person, guess what? That smell is going to rub off on you. You know when you go to Macy's and you're not going to buy anything, you just go get the samples and you walk out? That's pretty much it, right? If you stay along there, you're going to have like 5 samples of all these designer colognes that you're never going to buy, but you just want to smell good for that day. And so now you have 5 of them on there just because you spent some time in the cosmetics section, right? Maybe the brothers don't do this, but anyhow, maybe some other people do. But anyhow, that's what the hadith is kind of saying. If you have those good friends, they're most likely going to say something good to you, you're going to benefit from. They're going to drop a hadith on you, drop a verse. Hey, Shahid, dude, it's Maghrib time. Do you think we should stop and pray Maghrib? Or it's Isha time. Let's pray before we go home because you're going to get sleepy when you go home. It's us too. We got wudu, let's pray. And you have other brothers not going to say, no, let's go to a movie. Or no, you pray when you get home, or whatever. And then you go home and you might knock out, etc. So that friend is very, very important because you'll benefit from them. And then the Prophet ﷺ said an example of a bad companion is the one that's a blacksmith. If you're around them, you're going to get the soot from the hitting of the metal on the flames on your clothes, and you're going to end up smelling bad. You ever heard someone who's like barbecuing outside and they come in the house? You're like, whoa. Whoa, they come in the masjid sometimes or someone, you could see that they've either playing basketball outside or they're doing something. So the Prophet ﷺ making this very, very clear of how that good friend will rub off on you. But you have to find like-minded people, and that could be a struggle at some times. So I want to ask yourself, because I think, to see some stories out there, and I think a lot of you guys, everyone here has some type of unique story, I think. And people could benefit from each other. There might be a brother here struggling with a situation. Maybe a sister had that same situation that maybe he could benefit from, vice versa. How many people here have found it hard to find a Muslim friend? And how many people here found one, and could you explain how did you make that connection? How long did it take for you to do that? How much tries did you have? Anyone want to share a story? Go. No one? Brother in the back. Right. Right. Good. Well, you're lucky. You went to Hawthorne Masjid. It has a good new Muslim program. And I think Brother Ali's here. I think he runs it. And so that's good. Brother Jamal was doing some work there. Anyone else want to explain how? Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
And I just worked up the courage to go and talk with her. And she started introducing me to more Islam and going to Juma. And I'm here today.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, that's good. So everyone get gym memberships and let's see if this works, right? 24-hour, go to Costco, it's cheaper. So this is one thing. So anyhow, anyone else has something else that worked for them and find out. 'Cause I think it's very hard sometimes. Go ahead, sister in the back, go ahead. That's good, right? 'Cause a lot of times you think you're open, right? Not everyone has that, right? Or inverts, outverts, and so forth. And so like sometimes people you would think you're a new Muslim, everyone should be coming to me. And then you're like, oh, that's okay, that didn't work. It didn't work last week, won't work this week. So, you know what I mean? A new Muslim badge kind of wears off. You got all the hugs when you took the Shahada, and then where you guys at? You just saw me last week, and don't remember me now. Any of that happens. Go ahead.
I remember when I first became Muslim, I decided that I wanted to take a documentary of my experiences. I became Muslim a month before Ramadan, so I was okay. I'm gonna meet some different brothers and learn a little bit about Islam and making videos of myself.
Okay.
On YouTube, so I kind of connected with brothers like, hey, tell me about Islam. What's Islam in the West?
Mm.
He kind of described it a little bit, and that's cool. That was a good idea.
people watch that actually in Southern California.
Yeah, here in Southern California.
Okay.
In LA.
Okay. Very good.
Islamic Center.
Yeah. Okay. I think that worked. I don't know if that works for everybody. I mean, anyhow, but okay. Alhamdulillah, that's so unique though. Alhamdulillah, that's good. So there's some ways here. Like I think the sister's a very good point. You kind of have to make that effort too to go out and shake people's hands. And you know, it's going to take a little bit while. And were you going to say something?
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I can attest to the sister because my thing is I studied Al-Islam for almost a year before I had attained. But when I came in, I understand what the five pillars were.
Right.
So my mentality is I just still want to be a Juma ritual.
Right.
So I came in as soon as I'm come up from zikr and everything, I'm shaking everybody possibly can.
That's good. No, that's good. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. That's something, like I said, embracing people first. You know what I mean? And people, like I say, you start making that connection, start shaking people's hands once or twice. Inshallah, you're going to break those barriers down a little bit. Like I said, that's why I went over the demographics of the Muslim community, that you understand that they have this, you know, barriers within them, and you breaking them slowly, sometimes you have to put your effort in. Another thing is, what did I put here? Okay, yeah, so here another thing that is that now that you became Muslim, you're finding that a lot of your friends and so forth that you have, and I kind of mentioned already, are doing things maybe that are not all Muslim friendly. So these friends that you have is going to help you get out of those type of situations. And I know when I went to high school, I was the only Muslim, and I played sports. I was a decent player, but anyhow. And so, of course, everyone went to public school here in high school and here in Los Angeles, or at least SoCal, played sports. You know what the sports player is. It's a bad stereotype, but anyhow, there's a lot of things that go on, right? From, you know, dating, I had friends that got people pregnant in high school, and my good friend too, you know. And so sometimes I'm like, I don't know how Allah saved me from high school, but I don't know how I made it out, and I kind of wonder about that sometimes. And I didn't have a Muslim person there, you know what I mean? And so this is something that I could have saw that I could have easily slipped, and I could have went down the hill, if you will. So like I said, having those good friends are very, very important. And so we talked about how to make Muslim friends a little bit, and you guys went over some common things. So common obstacles, like to go over. Another thing is that this beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ talks about is that sometimes you think as a Muslim, as I mentioned, that, no, I'm just going to stay awake, going to the masjid, a lot of politics, a lot of this going on, I don't feel welcome. But like what the sister is saying, that you have to put effort in. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ made a very, very interesting statement here, where he says that al-mu'minu alladhina yukhalitu an-nas wa yasbir ala adahum a'zam ajran min alladhina la yukhalituhum wa la yasbir ala adahum. That a true believer, a believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the one that mixes with the people. Doesn't stay in the cave and to stay away from the Muslim community. I can't take their nonsense, right? But mixes with the people and has patience upon what they see from them, will have a greater reward. This is very significant here. Will have a greater reward than the one that doesn't mix the people and doesn't have patience of of their harms, or as it says here, their annoyance. Right? That's very deep. Go ahead. You want to say something about?
Well, I just wanted to say that I have such a great appreciation for this deen and gratitude for it, that when I met people like the mosque, I had it was from my heart that I had such gratitude for the deen, that people just opened up to me and I opened up to them.
Alhamdulillah.
Anyway, so I was just glad for anyone to give me any kind of instruction or any kind of direction, and as such, I made all kinds of good friends.
Right.
And I feel like I'm on a good path there.
Awesome, that's very good, alhamdulillah. And you even see that, I even met born Muslims. They come to the masjid and they pray and they walk out, like, hey brother, why don't you help out with the program, why don't you come? He's all, no, it's too much stuff going on here, I just don't want to. And that's all he wants. He doesn't want to participate at all, because you've seen a lot of things, and some stuff you see at the masjid sometimes is quite disturbing at times, how people act. But nonetheless, here you have this hadith, and if you ever feel that, remember this hadith. Maybe you're writing it down. Maybe you're taking pictures of it. I don't know. That to remind you, and this helps me sometimes, because sometimes when I deal with masajid, even sometimes when we do programs there, you see a lot of things, and it reminds you, no, the Prophet wants us to mix with the people. Allah, the Prophet is advising that, and to have patience, have the sabr, that it's going to take some time, and that's why I went over the demographics, that the people are not the most well trained sometimes running the masajid, and sometimes that's the issue that we run into. There. Another, I think that's done. So what are some solutions of how do we make friends? So we got some ideas from some of the people here. One thing that you might find, and one thing I've seen from converts or new Muslims, and maybe you guys could witness to this, is sometimes the younger generation are the ones to make that connection with, right? Not the super small youth I'm talking about, but sometimes the teens and sometimes the college age. It's sometimes easier to connect with them. And I know some other brothers who are elder, like maybe 40 in their 50s that took Shahada, but their kind of mentor, their buddy, if they will, is that one brother who's 20-something that knows how to work with people, if you will. He's more trained. Either he was born in this country, etc. So sometimes you might find an avenue there, if you will. That's something you might want to try. And sometimes the youth are a little bit more open, if you will, because they're born maybe in this country. They understand the diversity issues. For them, it's not an issue, if you will. They don't have the language barrier also. Another thing that for the brothers is the imam. Is try to hook up with him. That should be your first buddy as much, right? That's his job, is to interact with you, right? And that's the one person you want to make sure have that connection with. Have him on your speed dial, right? On your phone that you could call for advice and help. That if you are thinking at any time, that you can get some advice. And sometimes I know imams are hard to get a hold of, but you're meeting a lot today. A lot of people in our area that you should be making contacts with them, at least getting their email or their phone number and making that connection. Another is that try to go to another masjid sometimes. Sometimes some masjids there's nothing going on. It's not active at all. There's nothing there, if you will. And that's a little harder. I know people don't necessarily want to drive. But even myself, I have to drive some far distance just to go to a certain programs, because my masjid that I have in my area doesn't do much stuff. So even as a Muslim, I have to go out to get that Friday night program, to get that whatever lecture that's happening for me to benefit. That's something you might do. And another thing is participate with other outside organizations. And I put some names there, and I'm going to go over these organizations towards the end of the session, inshallah ta'ala. And you're going to hear about all these different organizations and how you could get involved with them. So how to solve your issue is, if you're finding a hard time finding Muslims in the masjid, outside organizations might be a way to go also. People are doing relief work. People are doing dawah work. People are doing educational programs. Hook up with some of them. You might get a bond there. And also you're doing something, alhamdulillah, that's beneficial, it's virtuous, that you could participate in. So let's talk about one thing is understanding your shahada. So one thing we talk about making friends, and I told you how important that is, and how Islam wants us to congregate and be in jama'ah. But another thing is also that when you took shahada, one thing is that of course you testify there is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his messenger, right? And there's no partners, etc. That's one thing, if you will. But another thing is to understand that when you took your shahada, even myself, and anytime you make that statement, what you're really saying is that, oh Allah, I'm down to serve you. I'm signing up to serve you and follow what you have told us, if you will. Whatever command that you tell us, I'm raising my hand, I'm volunteering for that, if you will. That is what you're basically saying. I don't know if anyone ever broke down the shahada like that to you, but that is basically what's going on. And Islam, like I mentioned before, it's not just something eternal, but it's something that's physical, that you do with your limbs, that you do to be active, if you will, to participate in programming. And that's something that's vital. And especially as being new Muslims, it's the best time for you to get active with a certain organization, a certain center, as much as possible, because you have potential. Another thing, like I said, you have backgrounds, because you know, if you will say, the nonsense of what goes out there in the world, and you can help people, bring them into Islam and give them that message. And you're better than me to do that, because you have a better background, better expertise, if you will. And one thing is to understand this. If I asked you a question, to try to emphasize this, understand this. If I asked you, where is your iman? Your belief, that iman inside of you. Where is your iman? How do we find your iman? What would you say? He says actions. So the more actions you have, the more you're professing that iman. Anyone else? Sorry, I don't have t-shirts, but anyhow, go ahead. Feeling in your heart. Okay, very good. Your faith. Okay, she's pointing. Okay, so talking about go ahead. Upholding the 5 pillars. Okay, which involves some saying the shahada. Like there's some action there also. Okay, so we go ahead. Very good. Okay, very good. Look, check out this hadith here. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Al-iman bid'un wa sab'una shu'ba, fa'alaha qawlu la ilaha illallah wa adanaha imanatul adha an al-tariq wal haya shu'ba min al-iman." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says their iman, right, is 70 odd branches, if you will. That your iman, you could break it down in 70 odd number branches. And he says that the highest form of iman is saying la ilaha illallah. Where's that at? On the tongue, right? And then what does he say? The lowest of iman is what? Removing something harmful from the street. You see something, a branch or something, you move it. He says that's the lowest part. What is that done by? Your limbs. And then he says what? Haya, modesty is from iman. And where's modesty? Internal. So you understand where iman is? It's everywhere. So to have this full iman in Islam, you have to profess it everywhere. It's advising people. It's saying the shahada, right, like we all said already. It's physically doing things, moving things from the street. You might put that as relief work, if you will. It's telling people about Islam, da'wah work, if you will. It's action. As Muslims, we're natural reformers. We're natural activists. That's what you signed up for. This is what this deen is. This is what this religion is. Yes, there's eternal stuff. There's a salah, which is very personal, if you will. But there's a whole other aspect of it where it's touching all of society. And that is a Muslim there. That's who you are. That's what you signed up for. Don't run away. Don't worry. It's okay. Nothing scary. Right? Lock the door, Farhan. So that's what you're doing. Right? Because that's what the Prophet ﷺ did. Right? He said, fornication, guys, stay away from that. Alcohol, no. Interest, no. Right? He was touching everything. He wasn't saying you just pray 5 times a day and you're good. Well, I say, don't come back to me again. No. It's reformers. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, doing his work on the earth. So that's what you have to do. So to get yourself active. So how are we going to do that? Right? How are we going to do that? Get involved. So I'm going to go over some things, how you can get involved in. Some of the things, I don't know if it's in the binder, so you might have to write some stuff down. Number 1 is getting involved in your local masjid, right? And we went over there's some barriers in that. But try to find out how you could volunteer. If they have a programs committee, they have a women's committee, they have a youth committee, maybe you could help out with whatever they might do, right? How can I volunteer, right? During Ramadan, help set up iftar, right? Help them put out the tables, even that little things, right? Right? Alhamdulillah, it's all hasanat. You're physically helping out. Like when the Prophet ﷺ was in Medina, they were building the masjid. Everyone was helping out building that masjid, right? They didn't say, I'm not too good for that. I don't want to get my hands dirty. No. The Prophet ﷺ had his hands in there. He was doing work, if you will. Another thing is that you could get involved in is outside organizations. And like I said, sometimes that might be one of the other options to go for if you need some help on how to get busy. And we're going to go over a couple of those things. So let's go over that. Number 1 is relief work. Everyone has something that they like, if you will. Some of you are attached to education. You want to do programs, you want to do classes. Some of you might be attached to relief work. I really like helping people, giving food to the homeless, right? Making food boxes for the food pantry, volunteering for this, helping out at a medical clinic. Some people might be doing da'wah. I want to go do the mall. I want to do tables. Brother Ali is right here. Alhamdulillah, with WhyIslam, we have tables. We go to malls and swap meets. Maybe you like that work, if you will. There's all these different things. But one of the works here that we have is relief work. And ICNA Relief is part of the same organization that's doing the program today. Right? They have a free medical clinic in Anaheim. And they're going to open a dental clinic soon. Maybe you could volunteer there. They have a Feed the Homeless program once every month. And it's also in Anaheim. I understand not everyone's from Anaheim. But they have this also. They have a food pantry. They make boxes and they give out to those who are in need. Maybe you want to hook up with that. Get yourself busy with that also, right? The Prophet ﷺ talks about feeding those less fortunate in the Quran in multiple places, right? So there's a sister, there's Seema Patel. She's someone you could contact. How can I get involved with? And she's in the Anaheim office. Uplift Charities out here in Chino area. They do a lot of good work. Free Clinic in Los Angeles. They have a free clinic. Maybe you can get involved there or put the brother's name there, Adil Said. I talked to him beforehand. He said that they have stuff they could do. Helping Hands, if everyone from the IE area, Corona maybe, they have an office there. I just went to their office. It looked like a mat house. They have clothes almost up to the ceiling. They're trying to organize that to ship that to Pakistan within the next week. They need people to open up these bags and sort out, women's clothes, boys' clothes, pants, shirts, etc. This is stuff, alhamdulillah, you can get involved with that. And they're doing stuff, if you will. So these are people, and there's a brother there, Kareem Hakim, that's involved in this, that you can get involved in that also. I'll leave that up there for a little bit as you write that down. So this is something, alhamdulillah, and when you do this, you're going to meet other people. You get to know people. And the more you go around, people are like, oh, this brother Farouk, this sister Fatima now, right? And your name's going to get out, alhamdulillah, you're going to see beauty. And it's barakah when you go to different communities. There's something special from every community that you could benefit from. Another thing really quick is da'wah that I mentioned. And with WhyIslam, like I said, we have a team in LA. We have a team here in Pomona. We just did a booth yesterday at the Chinese New Year Festival in Riverside. Gave away almost 100 Qur'ans. We have 3 shahadas, alhamdulillah, right? In the city where the shootings were just a couple months ago, people were lining up at our booth wanting Qur'ans. They want to talk to Muslims, right? But we're not really out there, right? They were telling me, where are you guys at? Some lady came by and said, you have the most important booth of this whole New Year's festival, if you will, right? And so there's a need out there, but we're not out there. So maybe da'wah is something you want to do. And I have a brother's name, Brother Samir Abdullah. He's in charge of the WhyIslam project here in Southern California. Maybe you could contact him. Where's the next da'wah table? How do I get trained? Where can I go? Tariq is also involved in that. You could ask him also. And then Omar Farouk Masjid in Anaheim, they have a great da'wah team there that they're doing work. And you guys have their website. You could contact them. And they have a lot of things that they're doing also that you could volunteer with. Another thing is political justice or social justice. They call it different names. Maybe that's your thing, right? To talk about injustice about Palestine and this and that, whatever it might be. CARE is doing wonderful work. Obviously, you've probably seen them on TV before. And there's a brother there, Sayyid Hussein, that you could get involved with. And they have an internship program where you could get paid actually for volunteering out, put hours in with them, and maybe possibly get a job that they have, or help out whatever programs that they have. So that's another thing that you might want to get involved with. Another thing is this youth and education, and that's the end of what I have here. Youth, for any young brothers or sisters out there, there's YM, Young Muslims. They have a national organization, and there's a brother there, Rayhan Khan, that you could contact. And they do all type of programs. They have study circles for the kids. They have basketball tournaments, all these, fun youth type stuff, if you will, that you could get involved with. And also education. IOK is perfect. Shaykh Farhan's in the back, taking classes. I know Imam Jihad spoke about that. And they have classes online. I don't care if you're in Temecula or you're in Santa Monica, you could take classes here, right? It doesn't matter what. You could jump online. The classes are there. And then you have College of Islamic Studies in Omar Farouk Masjid, just down the 57, that they have classes also, and online that you could take if you can't physically drive to that masjid. Seekers Guidance, it's called seekerhub.org, is a wonderful organization that's doing a lot of classes for free. So no excuse. You can't say, I don't have any money, Shahid, I can't drive. Well, guess what? You don't have to drive, and you don't have to have money. So all your excuses out the wall. If you don't have internet, then okay, I'll accept your excuse. That's pretty much it, right? And they have classes in Arabic, and fiqh, and history, and seerah, and pretty much all the different topics out there, and hadith. And all the classes are there. They're all free. You sign up. There's a teacher there, and so forth, that you could benefit from. Qibla is the last one there I have there. Really, really awesome organization, but a bit expensive, their classes are. But they do a very professional work. Live sessions with the teacher on the screen. Very, very beautiful. So I participated pretty much with all these organizations myself, taking classes with them. So I'm trying to get you involved as much as possible. So you have activism, you have education, you have all these type of things for you to get integrated within the Muslim community and get yourself involved. And like I said, there are going to be obstacles out there, and we talked about it. But like I said, remember that hadith, that you get ajran, ajran, and you get the greater reward when you mix with those people, even though it might be tough. And always think about that. And inshallah ta'ala, you're going to be up here running these seminars, hopefully, inshallah ta'ala, in the future. That's what we'd like to have you there, because that's your background. So I don't know if anyone had any questions on this topic or anything you want to comment on, or even suggest. Maybe you know something, a group that's out there that people could benefit from. Go ahead, brother. Yes. Right.
How do you balance that? What's your suggestion on balancing? There is a lot, like there's Star Wars, right?
Yes. The real matter of the session's coming out now. It's all about Star Wars. That's what I'm here for, is to talk about Star Wars. Well, they do. I mean, there's nothing wrong watching, at least watching the Super Bowl. I mean, but anyhow, sorry. It's American. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you shouldn't, skip the halftime show. But anyhow, just watch and the commercials. Pretty much everything other than the game itself, just turn it off, TiVo 8 and whatever. That's pretty much it. Commercials are quite bad itself. So anyhow, no, there's nothing in the essence that's wrong with that, right? And I think you'll find a lot of Muslim. I mean, there is especially the youth. They're planning for their big nachos and all that stuff for Super Bowl this Sunday, right? Halal nachos and all that stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. That's part of culture. It's the aspects of the American culture that you want to obviously stay away with. There's certain things that are not good, right? And that's what the Prophet ﷺ did when he was in Mecca, right? He just, he separated what was good and what was bad. You know what I mean? What they did, they had good customs. They have good, qualities and how they used to invite people into their houses and so forth. He kept that. But other things, well, in terms of drinking and other things that they used to do, obviously he put his hand down on that. So, I mean, I don't know if that answered your question. Right. Oh, definitely. I mean, beaches, obviously, there's only one thing people are really doing. They're walking around half naked and jumping in water. I mean, so we also, brothers, the nighttime beach walks are the best thing to do, or the bonfire at nighttime. But if you could, there's private beaches here in California. I mean, you could do that. But basically, the essence of what I'm trying to get at is that, you can still practice, but you have to obviously make these type of decisions of what's good and what's not, and you make your judgment, right? And so that's what I think the best thing for it. You make your judgment, and I really stay away from those people. And there are people in the Muslim community that if you're watching Super Bowl, they'll say astaghfirullah, I can't believe you're watching the Super Bowl. I bet you will hear that. I know you would hear that, right? And those people, they have an issue, and they really all the American society is terrible, and all these. I mean, why are you living here for? I don't understand. I was talking to an auntie. She said, should my child have non-Muslim friends? I was like, well, you're in America. I don't know. I mean, if you want to move back to your country, go ahead. But of course, they're gonna have non-Muslim friends. What are they supposed to do? Stare down the floor while they go to school. I don't get it. I don't know where this mentality comes from. But a lot of people do have this backward thinking. You're gonna see posts. I can't believe you're watching, astaghfirullah, this is shaitan or something. You're going to hear that. And unfortunately, that is around in the Muslim, community, unfortunately.
This will be the last question.
So, like, on a more serious level, like, we're not, like, just talking about, like, Super Bowl. What if we're talking about things that are more American culture, like Valentine's Day and
Right.
things like that? I happen to work with special needs adults, and they don't really care, that I'm Muslim. They care about their Valentine's Day party, and they care about, like, these types of celebrations, and I don't feel like I want to talk to them about, like, I don't do Valentine's Day and I don't do Halloween. I just kind of like, I know I'm Muslim and I know my religion, and I'm strong in that, but I still feel like I can participate in these types of things with them because it's kind of a part of our culture, and I get a lot of friction from other Muslims in that regard.
Like I said, there are really staunch, people that are out there, you know what I mean? And I don't think that's your job and nothing to do. You don't have to celebrate Valentine. You don't have to give people Valentine, write your name on it, and come with a box of chocolates. You don't have to do that. But you could still be there and kind of, work around it, if you will, right? And, huh?
Like, what if I want to do that for them?
You want to.
I want to because a lot of them come from, like, group homes, and they come from places where they don't get love and attention and affection like they should, and so I want to give that to them, and I kind of don't feel like bad, like I don't feel bad about it.
I see okay, you want to, I got understood opposite. Yeah, so there's certain issues with that and so forth, you know what I mean? Like, And it goes to a lot of deep discussion, especially like Halloween and Christmas and Valentine's Day. Does it have a religious significance to it? So should we be participating in it? And there's a lot of debate on this stuff. Like in Halloween, obviously it was a pagan holiday, but is it still a pagan holiday today? And so therefore some Muslims say there's nothing wrong with that, and some people say no, it still has this. So I mean, just to answer your question about Valentine's Day, we have to like research it myself. I don't have to look at it exactly and try to find an answer for that. But maybe we could talk about some of the Shaykh here are still here and talk about that and see how you could do that, especially at the job functions, and see what the variables are and what you can do to kind of go around it. You know what I mean? And I think that might be best.
Answer the question. Instead of Valentine's Day, I just give love or give other days, every day.
I mean, I do.
Yeah, no.
They're looking forward to this holiday.
Of course, I know. Yeah, definitely, yeah. Anyhow, I think we went over the time, so go ahead. Jazakallah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you and reward you and raise you up, and inshallah be the next great generation of Muslims, alhamdulillah, in this area, and protect you from the evil of others. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر ولكم فاستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم.
Jazakallah khairan, Shaykh Shahid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you and your family. You guys awake? Okay, no break this time. We're going, no break. That's it, we're going right into our next session. If any of you need to step out, refresh your wudu, there's some walnuts outside. We're just going to go right into our next session.